Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Adiba, and today I am going to talk about the macroeconomic analysis for our article review of cars and carts development in Mexico. So, what I'm going to do in this macroeconomic analysis part, first I'm going to talk about the three theories of development and why in Mexico it just doesn't work, and how the Mexican government can battle this problem. So first, the three theories of development. The first theories of development is the trickle-down theories. This theory explains that an increase in GNP will lead to growth. It also assumes that the automatic distribution of the GNP of the nation to every agent in the economy. And the second theory is the redistribution with growth theory. This theory is explained by David Morowitz, saying that the growth with unequal income distribution will lead to higher growth, but also higher income, socioeconomic and political instability. This is quite logical, since the unequal income distribution later will affect the income gap and the psychological mindset of the people in the same economy. But later we'll also explain this in depth. The third theory of development is the basic human needs theory. This theory states that even with the redistribution of income through policies, it may not benefit the people who suffered from a very hardcore poverty. The first reason why the development theories doesn't work is because we live in a value-free system. Everyone in the market was motivated with strong self-interest, with little to no consideration for the means on how they amass, how they accumulate wealth, as well as how they spend their wealth. And even though the GNP was increasing at greater speed or increased very large, the wealth is ultimately going back to the privilege, and little or maybe none of the increase in the GNP will trickle down to the poor sections in the economy. And the second thing is that why the theory cannot exist in Mexico, because Mexico is basically a very culturally rich nation. Mexicans, especially in the southern part, give high importance to norms and values more than the growth of the nation itself. They would prefer family gatherings to reinvestment decisions. As well as the Mexicans, they have their pride of being in a cultural society, because in Mexico we have a lot of indigenous races, indigenous people, and they really have some hatred, or they dislike modernization, because to them it poses a threat, a very serious threat to their culture and traditions. And the third reason why the development theories is not prevailing in Mexico today is the difference in education level. The educated people in urban area of the Mexico can accept the idea of a nation growth, because they think in a long term. Education gives you the opportunity to think in long term as to where the nation is heading. Okay, so let's analyze the circular flow diagram here. In the economy, there are two components, the injection and the leakages. The injection for this economy is the investment and the government expenditure, and the leakages come from the savings from the household, also as the payment of taxes to the government. The problem in Mexico is that injections into the market is not financed by the leakages. To make sure that the economy is in equilibrium, injection must be equal to leakages. But in today's condition, we can see that the injection is more than the leakages in Mexico. This is due to the low marginal propensity to savings by the Mexican. We have explained this before, since uh, they have their interest more in family gatherings and spendings in festivals, so they tend to consume and do not save for the reinvestment purposes. Many of the Mexicans earn lower than the taxable income, so they are not entitled to pay tax, but still the income that they get from agricultural yield or their small businesses uh, does not make them any wealthier. They are sacked by the corrupt officers and officials. Since investment and government expenditure, the injections, is not properly financed by the household sector, firms and the government have to borrow to ensure the flow of goods and income in the market. Borrowing create a deficit, and a constant deficit jeopardize Mexico's rating, and because of that, less foreign investment is expected. Less savings in Mexico does not equate more consumptions, since a large part of from their income is used to be paid to pay the bad officials to get things done. This trigger more hatred and distrust toward the government. Thus, people refuse to earn a taxable income and prefer the traditional, poor but stable way of living. So, in conclusion, we can say that lesser savings will equate to lesser incomes. So let's prove this. Um, so we can see in the diagram, uh, the saving schedules is low due to the low MPS and not because of the tax. So low MPS denotes a very steep saving schedules. It means that it is inelastic to the changes in investment and government expenditure. Because of the steep saving schedules, we can also see a very steep IS curve. It means that a large change in interest rate only increases income by a little amount. So for a case when the IS curve is inelastic, we're going to have a less effective monetary policy, as we can see in the diagram. Even though the LM curve from LM naught shift down to LM1, um, the income only increases by a bit from Y naught to Y1. In these cases where IS curve is steep, we can expect to have to introduce more fiscal policies in our market to boost the economy. But other exogenous determinants that I have mentioned earlier that reflect their negative sentiments toward fiscal policy, their government may affect the fiscal policy's effectiveness. So basically, uh, in fiscal policy, we can change two things. We can change taxes and government spending. For taxes, it is not a good choice, since many of the Mexicans do not earn a taxable income. Even though the tax rate is increased, only some Mexicans will pay the higher tax, but most of them will not, especially at the southern part of the Mexico. But if we change the government, so this is our suggestions how the government can tackle the issues. First is by uh, increasing the educational level. I equate this with higher MPS, because when you have a better education, you know it is better for you to save. It is not only because of for the emergencies and the needs, but uh, we would we will have an idea that savings will generate investment. So a higher MPS, we will have a flatter IS curve, and higher MPS also means higher savings, and with higher savings we may have enough uh, leakages to finance our injections, and thus the Mexican government can borrow less and it can battle deficit and attract higher foreign investment. It will also increase incomes and output. Um, very. The second one is having a good governance. The bad officials, especially at the district level or in an area level, have to be removed to improve the sentiments of the people. It will motivate Mexicans to earn higher income, and we will have a more effective fiscal policy because uh, more people earns relatively high income and taxable. The third one is empowering local businesses. This is also important. If the government wants to spend, they have to spend in a way that it will secure the traditions and the culture of the society. So by empowering their local businesses, the society and the community understands that the government cares for the culture and do not want to impose or does not want to remove their culture through modernizations. Thus, we can say we can have a better cooperation between